This is Qtv News. I am Maria Masani and thanks for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. President Barrow on Tuesday made an unannounced visit to the ongoing construction of the University of the Gambia campus in Faraba. The ongoing construction work at Banjul International Airport and the completed Ndamban Clinic in Bakau. Today, Gambian journalist and filmmaker Ibuwage was laid to rest at the Jeshwang Cemetery. Friends and colleagues and family members have been paying their tribute to him. A relative of the late Ndur Cham on Tuesday told the Truth Commission about his arrest, detention and torture by the NIA and how he was convicted and sentenced. The Ministry of Interior, in collaboration with civil society organization WANEP and partners on Tuesday, launched the technical working group for establishing a national infrastructure for the peace in the Gambia. In international news, the EU's 27 member states confirmed on Monday that the bloc would throw its weight behind Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to be the next head of the World Trade Organization. In sports news, RS Berkane beat Egyptian debutants Pyramids FC by a solitary goal to clinch their first ever Total CAF Confederation Cup title. The world 100-meter champion Christian Coleman has been banned for 2 years after missing 3 drug tests. Now the local news in detail. Stay tuned. First, a press release from the State House. His Excellency President Barrow has declared Thursday, 29 October 2020 as a public holiday throughout the country in observance of Maulud Nabi, locally called Gamo, which will be observed on Wednesday night, 28 October 2020. The holiday is to commemorate the birth of Prophet Muhammad with an all-night vigil. President Barrow takes this opportunity to wish Muslims at home and abroad a blessed holiday. President Barrow on Tuesday made an unannounced visit to the ongoing construction of the University of the Gambia campus in Faraba, the ongoing construction work at the Banjul International Airport and the completed Ndamban Clinic in Bakau. As Aliou Cisse reports, the president is impressed with what he finds.
The president started his day tour of key infrastructure projects at Faraba in the West Coast region, where the construction of the UTG campus is at an advanced stage after further renegotiation and a new approach last year by his government. The construction project is contracted to Sapoji Palonji, a highly rated Indian construction and engineering firm established in 1865. The consultant for the project is Space. The president was informed by the contractor and consultant that the project is divided into 2 phases, with phase 1 set to be completed by April next year. However, there is a need for additional funding of $22 million for the second phase, which the government, through the Ministries of Higher Education and Works, is currently engaging development partners to secure the funds in order to possibly finish phase 2 by September next year. The completion of the project will see students have a centralized venue for all lectures, unlike now, when students have lectures at different locations. President Barrow says despite monitoring the progress of work through regular updates, it was important to physically visit the site as he expressed delight with what he found out. He describes education as being at the top of his government's national development plan.
The overall project is about $104 million. It's a lot of money. In Gambian terms, it's more than $5 billion. It's a lot of money. But I think it worth it. And we are really focused and we are committed to this project to make sure we finish the project on time and deliver a quality job so that we will have quality education.
The next visit was to the Banjul International Airport, where a major reconstruction project is near completion, which has evidently improved the status and outlook of the airport, raising it into an international standard. President Barrow was received on arrival by airport officials who took him on a tour. The project is expected to complete next month, and it is an indication that the Gambia is on course to a successful hosting of the OIC Summit in 2022.
The original cost, this cost is more expensive than that. It has cost us over $26 million to do this work, to create more space. Now we can handle over 500,000 passengers. Immigration, they used to have how many? About four stands. Now they have 15. The passenger section here, check-in section, they used to have 8. Now is 14. So everything have increased, everything have doubled.
President Barrow wrapped up his tour at the Ndamban Clinic in Bakau, where COVID-19 patients will be treated. The project is funded by the Gambia government, TAF Construction and UNDP. What was an idle facility has now been transformed into a standard health facility.
But even after COVID now, this place can complement the efforts of the health sector. And this area also is very, very central. You can access it easily. I will seize this opportunity to thank the UNDP, thank Mustafa Njai, thank the Ministry of Health and the technical team.
It is expected that the president will continue to make many visits to see for himself and hear from the people as to what truly obtains, not only at project sites, but also government institutions. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Alu Sise.
Today, Gambian journalist and filmmaker Ibu Wage was laid to rest at the Jeshwang Cemetery. Friends, colleagues and family members have been paying their tributes, all of whom have acknowledged his legacy on the lives of media personnel and service to the country. QTV's Mahmoud Lamin Choi files in this report.
The life of one of Gambia's finest media personalities in a generation has ended, but his legacy is still fresh in the minds of many who have lived to witness his service to humanity and the country. Ibu Wage was born in 1957 and was raised in the Gambia's capital, Banjul, where he did his primary, basic and secondary education. It is in Banjul where what would become his career in the media started at an early stage. His professional career has trailed a long and productive journey in the media, covering a wide range of skills through which he had worked as a reporter, producer, video editor, film and documentary maker and video director. His passing has not only left a vacuum in the media, but also a resounding legacy for generations to build upon.
Ibu was an all-rounder. Ibu was a household name in the Gambia. He contributed his own quota in his own area of specialization. Documentary, television, radio, you name it, empowering generation next, representing the Gambia beyond the borders of the Gambia, receiving international awards in the cinema, movie or the film industry. And Ibu has done a lot. I remember we went the same day at the GTMI, the days of JRTS at the exchange, and Ibu did a lot.
The late Ibu Wage, with his strong passion and determination to shape and change lives of Gambians through his media prowess, became one of the first Gambians to get training on electronic media and joined the state broadcaster, GRTS, in 1996. He worked at the state broadcaster for 7 years as TV producer, reporter and video editor.
I think Ibu's legacy still lives on because he has trained a lot of people. I could remember in those days, a lot of young guys, who started at the TV, worked closely with him. The likes of Fatou Sane, the Jenaba Jallos, they were all around him. Anytime he's going out on production, he goes with them. He trained a lot of people along the way, especially on news reporting. Ibu was a very good reporter. Anytime he travels with the president, when he comes, even on current activities, in the country, he'll be going out, producing a lot of reports on current issues of the day.
It is a very sad day today for the entire journalism fraternity. We have lost a doyen, a very professional journalist, a committed father, a patriot who spent all his time promoting the Gambia and what is good for the Gambia. Ibu Wage has left a big vacuum in our profession. He has spent a lot of time training so many young journalists. Myself, I went through his hands while I was working at Citizen FM because Ibu was one of the first few senior Gambian journalists to be trained on digital editing, or what we used to call it then, computer-aided radio.
After his professional service with GRTS, he would then proceed to establish a multimedia consultancy firm and film production company in the name of Wax Media, providing branding, media production, public relations and product development services for corporate clients. According to many, this media company has been the nursery for many men and women serving in our media industry.
My dad was somebody who dedicated his life in teaching young people. He started with his own children. That is why we are who we are today. And he extended doing it with other people to the fact that most of these media houses, you will see a product of Wax Media. So I believe he has left a legacy that will live on forever. through these young people.
And among the biggest media companies where his service has had remarkable impact is Qtv, the Gambia's first private television channel. Like at GRTS, he contributed towards the foundation building of Qtv as its first ever production manager.
He joined Qtv at a critical moment at our inception, and he played an integral role in our initial development. He had a wealth of knowledge in media, and he was very, very eager to pass that on to the younger generation of journalists. So he spent a lot of time training our journalists, nurturing them, mentoring them. So definitely Qtv, the whole Qtv family is saddened by his demise, and we'll miss him. But we appreciate that he was part of our family, and we'll pray for him.
Until recently, before his passing, the late Mr. Wage was the head of video documentation and processing at the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, where he is also praised for his great work.
It's a big loss, not just for TRRC and the country, but also a big loss for me personally because of the contacts that we have had. So I'm really, really sorry that we lost him. We lost a dynamic fellow, a very talented documentary expert.
This late illustrious son of our country had an international recognition for his great work of art. In a pioneering career in television production and news reporting in the Gambia, Wage also produced CNN Sights and Sounds of the Gambia. He had served as Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Award judge, an annual accolade which recognizes the outstanding achievement in television and film. This event was broadcast in more than 50 countries. While we mourn him with sorrow, we take pride in his service to the Gambia and pray for him to rest in peace in his final abode. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
A relative of the late Ndur Cham on Tuesday told the Truth Commission about his arrest, detention and torture by the NIA and how he was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Bab Karsi reports.
The witness Aliu Low said the late Ndur Cham was his uncle, and after the failed attempted coup in 2006, he was arrested by the NIA and sent to Mile 2 Central Prisons for 5 years before being convicted. So admitted that he helped Ndur Cham escape arrest, leading to his own arrest. At Mile 2, the witness said he was kept with other detainees, mainly from the security service.
At
the time, I wasn't taken to court. It was the soldiers they were taken to court, and they left me there. It was after the courts of the soldiers ended. They told me nothing. I noticed that the waiting was taking long.
Aliu Low recalled the names of the soldiers that were detained with him at the time and how they were being tortured at night, resulting in death.
Yes, because Malafikor was part of our case. But Malafikor, honestly, they killed him. Ibulo, he was part of the case and he too was killed. Aliu Cisse, our cells were opposite each other. The night that he was taken away, that was the last time I saw him. They killed him.
Yes.
I also heard about Alpha Ba. I have not seen that, but I heard too that he was killed.
The witness said he spent 5 years at the Mile 2 Central Prisons and was not allowed visitors or initially access to a lawyer. After eventually getting a lawyer, he was later brought before Justice Nkea at the High Court, who sentenced him to 20 years in prison. After spending 9 years and 6 months in prison, he was pardoned by ex-President Jammeh. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. The Ministry of Interior, in collaboration with civil society organization WANEP, the United Nations and other development partners, on Tuesday launched the technical working group for establishing a national infrastructure for peace in the Gambia. This story by Lolly Camara is narrated by Mamudu Gajaga.
A technical working group, TWG, on national infrastructure for peace is created to perform policy tasks or activities outlined in the peace-building frameworks of the UNDP, the AU and ECOWAS. The TWG will serve as a technical ad hoc committee that will facilitate and coordinate programs and activities relating to its establishment and operation. Fantabias Mane, the Deputy Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Interior, outlined key contributing factors that continue to be a challenge in the socio-economic development processes of the country. Among them, land disputes.
Building strategic peace infrastructure, such as security, policies constituting national security policy, national security strategy, security sector reform, and institutional and internal security policies is an optimism towards strengthening the peace, security, and social cohesion within the Gambia.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary also said that the government and her ministry are working with development partners and other stakeholders in meeting the demands of internal peace and security, adding that the initiative will help in creating peace within the communities. Salimata Toure, the Deputy Secretary General at the Office of the President, states that peace is an essential factor in human life, and a peaceful and secure environment is a human right and critical for every society.
For any community, there cannot be hope for development without peace, and the Gambia is no exception. The world we live in has become increasingly more complex, with new security challenges affecting our lives daily. Indeed, the Gambia has enjoyed peace and stability since independence and continues to do so in peaceful coexistence with its neighbors and the world.
Salaman Jai, National Network Coordinator for WANEP The Gambia, said in spite of several advances made in the course of the ongoing reforms at legal, electoral, security sectors, amongst others, the country continues to struggle with other internal challenges threatening peace and security.
Addressing these challenges will require a participatory, inclusive, and transformative approach on the part of national actors with sustained support from development partners as the consolidation of peace and democratic reforms in the country.
Jane Yeboah, the UNDP Deputy Resident Representative in the Gambia, also gave an overview of the challenges faced by countries experiencing conflict and war.
For some of us, we've lived through revolutions, we've lived through wars, you've lived through and seen the devastation and how some of the countries have gone, and the Gambia also has its own story.
A technical working group will also consist of core institutions at the international level like the UN, AU, the EU and ECOWAS. At the national level, it will include government, public enterprises and institutions. Part of its mandate includes mobilizing national capacities and structures to support and facilitate dialogue, mediation and other response strategies and processes in peace building, amongst other things. Mamudu Gajaga, Qtv News.
Taiba Welfare Foundation on Tuesday inaugurated 2 new water boreholes in Latrikunda, German and Makumbaya village to ease water shortage in these communities. Babu Karsisa reports.
A joyous moment for students at Omar Ibn Khattab Islamic School. They have a reason to celebrate because their days of water shortage are over. This borehole, sponsored by Nada and Basima Jamdun, will benefit not only the school but also those living within the community. During the inauguration, the principal of Omar Ibn Khattab Islamic School, Ablai Job, says access to clean drinking water was a big challenge. Both the madrasa and the community needs water because there is a shortage. The project came at a time when the school is about to reopen. In the name of Omar Ibn Khattab Islamic School, may God reward you. The Public Liaison Officer of Taiba Welfare Foundation, Ali Hussein, explains other activities that the foundation is involved in. Taiba Welfare Foundation and its development partners are here to help people, especially Gambians. Apart from water, the foundation also provides assistance to families during Ramadan and Tobaski. At Makumbaya, where the second borehole sponsored by Mansour Abdurrahman Al-Khuwais was constructed, residents are now hopeful that the construction of their mosque and other necessities can now be possible. Our mosque is incomplete because we lack water. There are other things we want to do, but all was not possible because of water scarcity. We have also formed an association that will take care of maintaining the borehole if there is a problem. We thank Taiba Foundation and partners. Saidi Gay, on behalf of the women of Makumbaya, says the scarcity of water has really affected the women.
The women are so happy. We suffer a lot, especially during the dry season, because all the wells run dry. Without water, one cannot even worship God properly. We are grateful for the help.
Modu Baro, a resident of Makumbaya, says the women have been complaining a lot in the past, but the situation will now improve. This is a big blessing for the women. They used to complain about pulling ropes with their bare hands to get water from the wells. Now, they are not complaining anymore. Taiba Welfare Foundation is a charity organization registered in the UK and registered as an NGO in the Gambia. The foundation's motto, Dignity, Respect and Knowledge, aims to provide clean drinking water amongst other necessities to disadvantaged communities. Babakar Sise, QTV News.
We will take another short break and we continue with international and sports news when we return. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is Qtv News. In international news, the EU's 27 member states confirmed Monday that the bloc would throw its weight behind Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to be the next head of the World Trade Organization. The former Nigerian finance minister will face off against South Korea's trade minister Yoon Young-hee in the final round of voting at the WTO. Mamadou Mboj.
In July this year, 3 Africans, 2 of whom were women, made the list of 7 candidates contesting the World Trade Organization WTO top job. The field has now narrowed, leaving 2 women going head-to-head in the final round of voting. The position of WTO Director General is chosen through grueling rounds of haggling to build consensus among some 160 WTO members, in which it helps to have a major regional bloc's support. On Monday, the EU, not having a candidate of its own, threw its weight behind the Nigerian candidate Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, giving her bid to become the first African head of the WTO a major boost. The other candidate is South Korea's current Minister for Trade, Yoon Young-hee. Trade diplomats from the EU27 held hearings from both candidates on Monday the 14th, and initial deliberations failed to produce a consensus as some of the 27 EU member states backed South Korea's trade minister. Eventually, however, they agreed on Okonjo-Iweala. An EU official reportedly said the bloc's backing of Okonjo-Iweala was a strong signal to reinforce the multilateral order, as well as a clear signal towards Africa and a sign of mutual trust. According to analysts, the EU decision leaves Ms. Yu facing an uphill task. Japan and China are expected to exercise a de facto veto against her because of political tensions with Seoul. The WTO's consultation process ends on Tuesday, and the new Director General taking over from Roberto Azevedo is expected to be declared in November. Since the WTO was created in 1995, 3 of its directors general have been from Europe, while 1 each came from Oceania, Asia and South America. According to some analysts, even though there is no regional rotation principle at the global trade body, there is a growing consensus in Geneva that it's time for an African trade chief, as the continent has never held the post. The new chief will take over at a time when the world is in public health crisis and faces economic recession. Free trade and globalization theories are coming under pressure, and there is even talk of a new Cold War between the US and China. Britain will leave the European Union single market at the end of the year, and Africa has become far more ambitious when it comes to trade, with its launching of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This is the time for an independent voice for emerging and developing economies, according to analysts, to ensure that WTO rules are respected and enforced so that trade is as free and as fair as possible. When confirmed, she will be not only the first African but also the first woman to head the WTO. And perhaps more crucially, she assumes office when the international community will either be adjusting to a new US administration or preparing for another 4 years of President Trump, who has been severely critical of the organization. For QTV News, I am Mamadou Mbodj.
In sports news, RS Berkane beat Egyptian debutant Pyramids FC by a solitary goal to clinch their first ever Total Cup Confederation Cup title. In their second consecutive final, Mamadou Gaja has more.
Mohsen Lajor scored the lone goal as the ball ricocheted off the striker's foot in the 15th minute. But it didn't matter at all, as it proved to be the golden goal and perhaps the most important yet in Berkane's history. The Moroccans lost last year's final on penalties to another Egyptian side, Zamalek SC. But they were in no mood to allow lightning to strike twice as they ensured victory on home soil, as the match was played at the Prince Maulud Abdallah complex in Rabat. Berkane finished the game with 10 men, just as they did in last year's final. This time, Bakre El Hilali was sent off for a dangerous tackle with 2 minutes left on the clock. Despite the numerical disadvantage, they managed to hang on for those few minutes. Debutants Pyramids had come into the final with an enviable pedigree, having gone all the way to the last game of the campaign in their first ever season with only 2 losses from their last 15 matches in the competition. They had also won all their 8 away matches this season prior to the final. But they could not finish the job as the experienced Moroccan side held on for a valuable victory. What had seemed a golden touch seemed to desert Pyramids FC when they needed it most. They scored 19 goals coming into the final, registering 137 shots with 51 on target. However, against RS Berkane, they had just 6 shots, with not a single one being on target. RS Berkane are the 5th different Moroccan side to lift the CAF Confederations Cup trophy, the others being FAR Rabat, FUS Rabat, Maghreb Fest and Raja Casablanca. RS Berkane also made history by becoming the first side to win the CAF Confederation Cup after finishing as runners-up the previous year. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
The world 100-meter champion Christian Coleman has been banned for 2 years after missing 3 drug tests. The 24-year-old American, who is suspected from 14th May 2020, will miss the postponed Tokyo Olympics next summer. Coleman won 100-meter gold at the World Championships in Doha in 2019. The indoor 60-meter world record holder was 30 days to file an appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sports (CAS). He was provisionally suspended in June after missing the 3rd test in December 2019. Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. His Excellency Adama Barrow has declared Thursday, 29th October 2020 as a public holiday throughout the country in observance of Maulud Nabi, locally called Gama. President Barrow on Tuesday made an unannounced visit to the ongoing construction of the University of the Gambia campus in Faraba, the ongoing construction work at the Banjul International Airport and the completed Ndemban Clinic in Bakau. Today, Gambian journalist and filmmaker Ibu Wage was laid to rest at the Joshuan Cemetery. Friends, colleagues and family members have been paying their tribute to him. A relative of the late Ndur Cham on Tuesday told Truth Commission about his arrest, detention and torture by the NIA and how he was convicted and sentenced. The Ministry of Interior, in collaboration with civil society organization WANEP and partners, on Tuesday launched a technical working group for establishing a national infrastructure for peace in the Gambia. In international news, the EU's 27 member states confirmed on Monday that the bloc would throw its weight behind Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala to be the next head of the World Trade Organization. In sports news, RS Berkane beat Egyptian debutants Pyramids FC by a solitary goal to clinch their first ever Total CAF Confederation Cup title. The world 100-meter champion Christian Coleman has been banned for 2 years after missing 3 drug tests. That's all we have for you in this edition of the Qtv News. Do stay tuned at 10 p.m. for another edition. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.